Welcome to the BMI podcast. Today we sat down and talked with Aaron in a part 1 of 2 of a little bit of background into the Little Cherry coffee business. We got into Aaron's involvement with the coffee business, considering he doesn't actually like coffee, as well as what he's brought to the table from an entrepreneurial side to help the business grow. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We hope you enjoy. So I thought today we'd kind of get into the business side of things more so from your perspective.
Yep.
It might be like a part 1 of 2 or 3, depending on how many we want to do. So we'll try to get Judith on from her perspective on the different kind of side to the same business.
Yep.
And then we can always do one of mine at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a part 1.
Yep. No worries.
And I guess as a bit of a business recap, we've kind of talked about in the introductory episode for you, how you got into business, being kind of started just in the workforce and then kind of going into real estate, and then from real estate into property development, and that property development kind of like being the cascade, I guess, or real estate really being the cascade.
Yeah.
Into the kind of entrepreneurship journey, and then kind of traveling through into, like we said, into the business, property development. And so I guess how I kind of thought of it, and we kind of fit into opposite categories in a way, be it, when you go into starting a business, quite often you'll go in as, let's say, as a passion project.
Yeah.
And you'll either have the passion for the industry, or you'll have a passion purely out of the entrepreneurial side of things.
Yeah.
And you get the enjoyment purely out of just doing different stuff that kind of expand your business horizon.
Yeah.
And I guess I fit into the first category of obviously doing it based on a industrial passion. So that's like the industry that I've kind of grown up and learned, and it's kind of been my bread and butter in the one area.
Yeah.
Whereas you've kind of been almost jack of all trades in a way, where you kind of jump between and just using the business nous across different fields.
Yeah. Definitely had like a love for property. I think that was probably what inspired it. But then I would say the cascading effects from the property, I fell in love with actually the business side of things as well. I gained that sort of later. So I think that sort of came after getting into the property, but I'll let you carry on.
Yeah. And it was just kind of interesting, especially as we kind of take a bit of a turn into the business that you're now in.
Yeah.
Because actually you don't like coffee.
No, I don't like coffee. Yeah.
So tell us about it. What got you into the Little Cherry, and how did you even get involved in the coffee industry to begin with?
Yeah. Well, so basically, Judith, she's got a coffee cart. She had a coffee cart before I sort of came on board. To start off with, I actually told her you should probably look at starting a business. When we first started seeing each other, she was living out of town and stuff like that, and she had experience was in there. And she said,
baristering.
Baristering in a cafe. And she just said to me, I would love to start a coffee cart. And me coming from business and stuff like that, because I think at the time I was doing race simulators or something like that,
Right.
So I've always been dabbling in business, and and that's the thing for you guys out there. You're not gonna. It's better to go and try heaps of different things, because you're not gonna find what you're really good at, or what actually keeps you motivated, or gives you that drive to keep trying to grow a business, because it's really hard to grow a business. I've had, well, if you go back on technicalities, that they're failed businesses, because I closed them, but we profited, made money and stuff like that, but then you end up going off the track or something like that. So she was telling me that she wanted to do a flowers and coffee sort of coffee cart, and I said, well, why don't you look at doing a coffee cart? And this is real early when we first started seeing each other, and she actually had a bit of savings and stuff like that, and had to as most people are when they're a bit scared, a bit nervous, at first, too scared to do that. I had to push her to do that. So we'll probably get her on later on and get her take on the starting journey and stuff like that. So fast forward like 3 years, Judith's had the card and she's been running it, and it's been doing really well. And we actually just got heaps of booking inquiries and stuff like that just for days, but we already had bookings in place and we couldn't do the work. Then an opportunity came along where my uncle he was looking at a cart for himself actually, and was like, oh, I want to go look at this. One of his mates that was running one for the last 5, maybe even 10 years, was selling his because he was retiring. And then he was just like, oh, and I was like, oh, I'll come along and, give you a few pointers. I'll point out if there's anything like that and stuff like that, like that you might want to know, and like just sort of like be just someone to bounce some ideas off for him, because he was thinking about getting it. But then when we went down to look at it, he was like, oh, no, like I'm in an RM, because this is something that is very common for, I would say, 90% of people out there, is like they're always like, oh, yep, I'm keen as to start this, and then like when push comes to shove, like you're there, you're in front of the opportunity, and then you go, oh, nah, it's not a good enough opportunity for me. Like I think we've talked about it before, like opportunities are always presented to us, like always. It's actually what you make of that opportunity, or whether you actually just go, okay, make your decision, all right, weigh up your losses or your pros and cons, sweet, get after it, because most opportunities disappear quickly.
Yeah, I remember you saying even in your introductory one, it was kind of like that was almost all the way through your whole journey. It's kind of like been doors open and taking those doors that have been open, rather than kind of being not oblivious to them, but shunting that door or pushing it out to the side. It was always like, okay, there's an opportunity, I'm going to make the most of that opportunity.
Yeah. Because I wasn't even looking for this cart.
No.
So when I turn up there, this was just coming along just to give some advice to my uncle,
Were you in, was this the first cart that you guys bought?
No, this is the second cart.
One. Were you involved right from the first coffee cart that you guys had?
Yep.
What was that involvement, and what kind of, was it more a supplementary kind of help Judith along in that to kind of help set her up, almost like a business mentorship kind of role, or were you kind of involved in the backside of it, or the back end of the business?
So definitely, like at the start, it was just pretty much helping her out and like just getting her to take that opportunity.
Yep.
So I literally, because this is the thing for guys out there that are looking to start, like you need to have either like support, like good support systems around you, like or people that can help you out, or like literally like have a bit of decent savings so that you can fund yourself. Because also this might be my take, but I'm a strong believer of just going all in. Like I said to her, like she was like, oh, I'll try find a part-time job and this and then. She was applying for jobs while she looked at buying it. So she was like, oh, while I'm trying to grow it, I'll supplement like paying expenses and stuff like that with a part-time job. And I said to her, no, like luckily I've been at a decent situation where I'm not financially burdened. And so I said to her, like, don't worry about paying anything. Like you just focus on working hard, building up the customer base, and like just taking every booking, doing everything you can. And then when you start making a regular income, you can just like pay me back or whatever, we're just
come to that
agreement sort of thing, like at the time. And she did actually, like after about 6 months of hard work of pretty much making no money the whole time, she eventually started making money and then like paid me within like a month or two, because she started making like half decent money like pretty quickly. Once you break through that wall, you sort of thing. So it was just a lot of and not only just that, it was just like you need to have someone, I guess. You don't have to, because I did it without anyone. I actually did it with everyone going, go get a real job, go do this. I've been told my whole life sort of thing. Whereas for her, she kind of needed it because she was just, discouraged. Like, oh, fuck, I'm not making money. Like, I think I should just sell it, And that's what a lot of the cats are doing nowadays. Like we've been in the market coming up 4 years now, and we've seen like the same car move through ownership like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, right.
Because
they were actually already, they were almost like franchises, but not really franchise. Like they were already established businesses, and you kind of just bought
So her one was established business. That was actually the little cherry coffee cart at first, and it was a mate for a mate of mine. She told me she was thinking about selling because she was looking at moving over to Aussie. She was working part time as well, like and trying to run. And she just sort of was like, "Oh, I don't have, didn't have any weekends and stuff like that." And that's the thing. Like that's the I guess if you say. Funny as you say mentoring, like I wouldn't say like she wouldn't call me a mentor, I would say, but I had some she wouldn't. I'm just that annoying boyfriend that just keeps going, come on babe, you fucking do it, but like realistically I was like sort of coaching her the whole time, like just forget about it. Don't worry, like don't listen to anyone else, like you'll get it all the time, like, oh, how's your little business going, like because they're all getting a weekly paycheck, and they're trying to play all bloody hierarchy, or try that stupid shit, like keeping up with the Joneses stuff, type stuff. Oh yeah, just got a new car. Well, how's your little coffee cart going? Like like they they don't care.
You feel safe in your own little.
So they're throwing out like a little like, oh no, I'm just genuinely asking. Like there's certain people asking, you can tell they're like, oh, awesome, like when you tell them, because that's when you can tell when someone's rooting for you, and then they're like, oh yeah, oh cool, like
just trying to get in the know.
Trying to be like, oh yeah, are you going out of business yet, or something like that, or how's that going? But then they're all like, it's funny, I don't ask them how much do you get paid at work, like, but they'll come up to us and go, oh, how much? How's the business going? How much do you make by the way? I was like, oh, sure. Can you show me your tax returns?
Yeah, exactly.
where
does it even come from?
Yeah, it gets it all the time, and she's just like, and then like, but I'm the strong believer. Just fucking tell them, because it's also like you can go, oh yeah, no, that's a good idea. I'll go do it. But I say to her, that they can't do it, because look at what you went through, and then you had me there like supporting you, like going, come on, like keep doing it. Like you have to have someone that's been through it, or someone that's going, because it's just like, shit, you're making no money for 6 months. And that was that was because I learned that through real estate. You don't make money for, like, they say 3 months is good. Yeah. Like if you're a thing,
Well, that's, I'll jump ahead and we can kind of come back to the business, like the actual business itself, because I kind of had like, what were the, what are the struggles or the roadblocks that you have to, or that you've kind of had to overcome? And that same question we can kind of pose to her, because it'd be interesting from her perspective.
Yeah.
But kind of depending on where this episode sits in relation to her kind of side of the story, either before or after. Yeah. We'll kind of leave her and she can fill in the blanks there for that side of things. And then going on to kind of expanding and growing the business. And so now that you've got, she's established one coffee cart, now you guys have another coffee cart. Yeah. And now you're running that one. Yep. And I said, you don't really like coffee.
No.
So how what made you guys come to the
I can drink a coffee now. Like I was like, all right, I need at least like drink it.
You got to have a cup in front of me at least that's not hot chocolate.
Well, I got to have a cup and know like, shit, am I making a decent coffee for these people? And then now when we go out and stuff like that, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a shit coffee.
Yeah, try and taste it.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, no, that's good. But like, I'm not going out of my way to have one.
You're not having 4 a day.
I have a green tea.
There you go.
That's what I have.
Some caffeine.
Yeah, getting some.
When it came to expanding, what led to that? Or was there much thinking behind like obtaining the other coffee cart? Was that strategic? Was that just opportunistic? Because I feel that was probably more your inclination to get the second one.
Yeah, I can walk you through it. So it was just 100% opportunistic. Like I said, I just turned up to give some advice on, and then like what you could do or how you would start a coffee cart, to my uncle. And then he was just like, oh no, I don't. And I was like, it's a good deal. Like I said, like this is a good deal. We had a bit of money. It was probably the worst timing to buy it because it was just before we went to Europe, which we had planned, and we put some money aside, and like I was like, oh well. So like I got the coffee cart for a really good price, like and like they wanted a decent price. I didn't need it, so therefore I put in an offer that was probably unreasonable, but the guy also was retiring as well, and he had
already half.
He had plenty of money, and he actually just was like, and really nice guy as well, and like, that was the thing. I was like, I kind of felt bad, but then I was also like, well, shit, I'm also taking on this investment and this another cart business to run. And I was just like, fuck, do I have time? Like, because that was when I was like up in the air with the development and stuff like that. Like, but anyway, yeah. And so I was like, shit, yes. I went home and I was just like, I think I'm going to buy this cart. And she's like, wait a second. You were going to see if Uncle Steve was going to buy it. And I was just like, oh, well, that's a good deal. And then sure enough, she was just like, I don't know. Like, I just think most women are all negative. And it was just like, but, she was like, oh, no, that's going to cost so much. Where are we going to put it? Like, that's just like every excuse under the sun sort of thing. And I actually just wanted to buy it for the kit that was in it. Like, I knew coming from building and stuff like that, it's quite good that we had a conversation last week about sort of like adding value, like to, like building the skills. So like I had the ability to look at that and go, shit, I can add value here. We know we bought a coffee cart for just under 30 grand. This is going for, let's say around 10 grand. It was a little bit less than that. And then it had like more than 10 grand worth of stuff equipment in it. Yeah. And it would still be a fully equipped cart. Yeah. So like I could take the 10 grand out of there. There'd still be a coffee machine in there. There'd still be a water pump, like all of the things and everything in there, power lights and stuff.
If you needed to, you could have used it for the other cart, or you've still actually got a fully functioning cart now.
So, well, that was the thing. What it initially started as was I was going to build that up and I was just going to renovate it and just sell it for like 25 grand, and then that could be like a month or two, like flick, like turnover sort of thing, and then like sell the stuff inside for 10 grand, and then you sort of I put in just under 10 grand, and then I'll get like 40ish out of it at the end of it, or maybe like 35 or something like that. So that was the idea. Well, that was my backup plan. I said no, like let's grow Little Cherry. So that was my initial thoughts, like expand. Like that's maybe one of my problems, like she would say, is that I want, like, because I've just, ever since I've got involved with just growing and growing, like we've imported our own cups and stuff like that. We've got our own designs where, we've got ambitions to roast our own coffee. Pretty much, like essentially, we would like to be able to do some sort of like a card itself, like set it up for someone, and then like sort of like a franchise and like help someone start up a thing, because we've still got too many bookings now. Like it'll be nice to be able to get another one and then get staff and then get them there, but like it's sort of like that's not where we're sort of naturally wanting to head. We're wanting to roast our own, maintain these two, like that's good enough, keep a good reputation, and then like potentially help others like become a owner occupier type sort of thing, like into a cart, like for someone that's wanting to leap into that sort of world, like you don't make bank straight away. It's sort of a thing, and that will be a part of like, I guess, the coaching and stuff like that. I'll go, hey, like help them through the step-by-step, the council regulations, stuff like that, permits and food control plans and stuff, like all of that sort of stuff we had to learn. So that's why when we got this, it was like, it was easy for us to start this up. Like, because
was that ever in the plan, or was it kind of like as it's kind of gone on and as the business has developed, those kind of ideas have kind of just sparked and they've kind of gone along as the momentum of the business building has kind of gone? It was never really in the let's franchise this, let's roast some coffee, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's me. Like, 100%. If I left her to her own accord, like she'd happily just plod along and make, turnover 100, 120k a year, like sort of thing,
I wonder if there's value in that, having both sides of that, having the, the ideas and that kind of always forward thinking, and then also having the, okay, let's make this as good as it possibly can be before those ideas kind of thing. And it's almost that balance of having we need this to kind of get there, and then we need a bit of this to kind of keep us staying, or keep us kind of like perfecting our current craft. And then that perfection of the current craft is then also making the future even better. And it's like, I don't know, potentially there's value in both of that, versus if both of you maybe, let's say, were forward thinking, then you might be too caught up in the future. You know what I mean? It's almost like, it seems like it's a good marriage of the two.
Oh, maybe.
Not to say you're getting married.
Yeah. No. Don't get her hopes up, pal. No, if I'll be honest, I'd rather we both be forward thinking, because it's just, like, it's hard when you're like trying to, like, I guess, argue your point. Like, all right, this is the direction we're going, because like I'm a strong believer. This is my take as well, and that's sort of like what she kind of has had to adopt as well and realize. It's like, if you're not, like, we talked about all of these coffee carts going like not out of business, but they're selling up. It's because I believe if you're not growing, you're dying. Like Andy Frisella actually says that quite a lot. Like, like, there's people that just, they sit dormant and they think, oh, I'm making pretty decent money. It's like, you're not always going to have those customers. You're not always going to, like, if you're not trying to provide a better service to your customers, or trying to, like, go and cut your costs so you don't have to, for the next time that we get price bumps, you're not forced to do that, and then they'll remember you more than the next person, because, oh shit, like, everyone else just did, but they didn't, because they spent their good times trying to, like, all right, like, how can we cut costs here, or like, or you're not even cutting costs, you know what I mean? Like, you're optimizing, making things a bit better, so you're not actually passing on any additional costs to the customer.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, like, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah. Well, I know you talked about kind of before always, and what we talked about in the previous podcast being adding value.
Yeah.
I know it was more not necessarily that staying stagnant, and more of in refining where you are rather than the next thing. And so potentially, like, getting a system in place for when you're in the cart, that so that you're dealing with customers faster, or you're still able to kind of be customer facing, all the while being able to make the coffee. It's like, potentially her years in the cafe industry and kind of perfecting that has almost made the process of all those ideas better.
Yeah. Because
she's refined that area.
Yeah. Well, like, that's also how I've been, I'm just going to run with it now, coaching her. Like, that's how I've been coaching her the whole way. Like, that's the stuff that we've been caring about, like, the whole time, sort of thing. And then even right now, what I'm trying to coach her to do is, and because I've had staff members before, we're looking at getting a staff member on, so that we can actually get our weekends back and stuff like that. She's been working fucking hard for the last 4 years, like, and like pretty much like non-stop. The odd weekends, we went to Europe for 7 weeks, but we bloody deserved that. Like, and anyway, so I'm just trying to coach her into, like, that next step is sort of like helping her, like, grow, because essentially, like, this is the other day she got mad at me. She's like, "Oh, you're growing the little cherry into a proper business and stuff like that, and then you're just gonna fucking leave me and go do your development." And I was just like, "Yeah, but I'm mentoring you. I'm coaching you so that you can take over this, and then you can get all your time back, and then you can get your time back by employing others and being a good leader, showing good leadership." And so that's what we're trying to learn right now, is the small little things that I'm picking up, because I've been a manager as well of a retail store, and just teaching her those sort of things, like small little, like, because I even said to her, I was like, if I'll be honest, like, you're a shit teacher, eh? Like, you gave me no training, you threw me out there, like, she didn't receive that very well, but as you can imagine, who would?
Yeah.
But like,
yeah, by the way, you're shit.
Yeah. No, but I was just saying, I was like, because, well, for a reference, because like Dane was living here at the time, and he was managing a cafe, and he came and helped me one day, and I was like, man, like, you need to, and that's when I learned. I was like, all right, sweet, we need to learn how to coach people as well, or, like, train them how we want to do business, because we've been thinking about that lately. It's like, all right, like, we know that we care, and we put as much effort as we can, and like, when we're there, and like, how do we make sure that we pretty much, swap us out? We've got to get someone else around it. We've got to make sure that they're building relationships. We're not just gonna go and not turn up one day. We're gonna bring them along for like a few weeks and introduce them to all the new customers, making sure they've got the same relationship that I have with them, so that when I leave, I can confidently know you're not gonna retain 100% of them, but at least if you're retaining as much as you can, and then teaching them the proper way that you want to, I guess, operate your business. You know what I mean? Like, just like the the morals and the values that you care about, and making sure that they're giving that across as well, and just all those small little things, and like with her, like just teaching that part.
Well, I guess that what is that kind of philosophy? I mean, I had that as one of the questions as well. It was like, part of that being, or part of BMI podcast being the eye of integrity. What is, I guess, the Little Cherries philosophy, or have you kind of brought in your own philosophy into the business that you kind of want to instill? And I still remember, I can't remember if it was Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca. One of the three kind of major Stoics always say, don't talk your philosophy, act it.
Yeah.
And so it's like the way in which that you're acting kind of embodies the principles that you want the business to show. And I mean, you were kind of talking about just even good integrity from a customer facing point of view. So not kind of ripping people off that way, or not trying to cut corners, or charge them extra for random shit that you could charge them for, but it's purely just to make a buck. Like, are those kind of the core philosophies that you're kind of looking at or looking to instill, or are there kind of others, and has that been what you're bringing as well?
Yes, that's a good question. I would say I'm bringing through just how I operate in life, or like my morals and my values and stuff like that. It's sort of like, it's weird. Like, I feel that I have to explain it, but it's sort of the stuff like treat others how you would like to be treated. Like that's what I sort of think. Like, like if someone's doing you wrong, like doesn't mean you go and do them wrong back. You know what I mean? Like so all of these sort of stuff, like through business, like we've, especially like we're taking bookings and stuff like that. And then like, we were saying true to our word, and then we got a booking after that was actually like, we could make a lot more money. So no, we're booked already, like, hey, say sorry. And then we just, we would recommend them to another cart owner that we know as well. Stuff like that, like not essentially chasing the bag. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like guys that they're only throwing themselves under the bus, like, because then like if you go and like not turn up to one, because we hear it all the time, and like there's a few things that we probably shouldn't turn up to, but like because we've committed to it, and because like we've had an agreement and verbal sort of thing, like like it's we stick it out, and we don't complain about it, and we don't bitch and moan, sort of thing.
I think that's what's important about, like, even they talk about managers, and sometimes you hear people say, well, you have to kind of know the industry to be a manager or whatnot. It's like, a good manager or a good business owner, like, really what it comes down to is working with people, right? You just have to have good morals and good integrity. If you can hold that, like you didn't know anything about coffee apart from it tastes like shit prior to getting into the coffee business.
Yeah.
But yet you can instill the same value of, okay, we're gonna hold ourselves to a high standard. We're going to treat everyone that comes to us, whether it's a customer or another potential business competitor, with respect. And it's like holding that standard, and you can still build a very good, reputable brand by knowing absolutely nothing about the damn business in the first place, because you just need to be an integral, good human being. Which is the core foundation, I think. And a lot of the time, it's when you know almost a little bit too much, potentially, that you do try and kind of cut those corners, because
you think you're an expert or something like that. Yeah, well, I agree. Like, some people that, they get caught up in that, and like, it's just, you got to focus on those integral things,
having good integrity. I mean, considering now that we've shifted, I'll jump back. Considering now we've shifted lifestyle. What does the day look like for you now that you have to run a coffee cup? So I pick it's majority morning, right?
Yeah, so pretty much it's morning. So just get up in the morning, we get out, set up as early as we possibly can. So like this for bookings and stuff like that. Sort of how we operate. I think I talked to you about it before. Like we message ahead of time, and we make sure, hey, when are people turning up? Because we don't like being set up while people are also there as well, like already set up. The thing kicks off at 8, and stuff like that. We like to get there early and set up for that there. Pretty much work to around midday, and then just come home, clean up all the stuff, and then we get into my personal life type stuff, which is, the gym and the health and stuff like that. And then we tend to, like, in the afternoon, look at, like, restocking and stuff like that. And, we try to, like, we kind of sort of, like, come home and like eat and then sort of
Separate.
separate it a little bit, like do the initial clean, like pull all the stuff out of the cart, dishes and stuff like that, and cloths, clean the cart, and then we just sort of go and try and do our stuff because we try to get stuff done early because then we can avoid all the rush and stuff like that, and then we swing back later. All right, shit, do we need to get any more product? Do we need slices? Like, what are we doing? Like restocking sort of type stuff, yeah.
Well, I know you mentioned, I don't think we were recording at the time, but you mentioned it before, kind of like where business almost doesn't turn off, it's like you've always kind of got these days and you might not have anything booked on those days, but then you always end up doing stuff on the business during those days anyway. And it's like, were there any kind of hidden aspects that kind of spring to mind around running a business? And I think this can be kind of like indicative across the board, like irrespective of the actual business. Because it's even like we were saying about content and posting the content, and then I think, well, when I'm kind of getting all my stuff ready, it's like quite often that's just when you're not even at work. And so then you come home and you're still kind of chipping away through it. I mean, are there any kind of hidden aspects of running the business that either one you didn't foresee or you could kind of bring to light if, let's say, people are wanting to start a business that they might not even be thinking about?
It's kind of probably like be good to mark that question. Like, definitely ask you that when we're interviewing her, because like it'll be interesting for her because I've kind of like been through this. You know what I mean? Like I did that with the adrenaline events. I did that with Angie. Like
True.
Like that sort of the thing is like it's not a shock to me. Like it would definitely be like a culture shock or like a habit shock to someone who hasn't experienced that, and that's sort of what it's been like sort of like coaching her and being like almost sort of going like you think this is bad, you wait, because I even talk about it like now. I was like, you think we're busy now, like you wait until what we're going to build this into, like, and then we're going to bring on staff, and then we're going to be growing this, we're going to be doing that, and then I'm out of here to go do my development, and then I'm going to be up till 10 o'clock fucking grinding and stuff like that. So for you listeners out here, like, just know, I sort of have a way that I describe it to someone. It's like, oh, like, think about how hard you possibly think it can be, maybe times that by 5 or 10, because it's going to be harder, but trust me, it's worth it. Like you would say for yourself, I've been telling you for a few years and stuff like that, and obviously like it's like push came to shove with you, but now we talked about it just before, you wouldn't change it for the world, and
that's the thing. It's a completely different feeling. It's a sensation of it never really turns off, and I think you have to kind of really work to find a balance of turning it off at points in time so that you can remain sane,
reclaim a little bit of that sanity back, all
exactly.
that
just
ability to not actually it's hard, it's you
time, like reclaiming some you time, because otherwise what you find is you almost become a slave to it. And it's different in the respect of when you're kind of just working. When you're just working, you feel as though you're kind of caught to the job, and then there's a bit of a resentment there, or you really enjoy it and you're completely happy, which is fine. But what I found anyway, sometimes you kind of build that resentment towards the work, as opposed to when it's yours, the work is still there and some, except you want to do it. There's a want to do more, and there's almost like this kind of fear of insecurity of not doing enough, and needing to do more, and that kind of fear of or that insecurity of not doing enough and kind of need to do more is what drives you to do more.
That's normal. Like you're going to go through those ebbs and flows, like with the business, and just sort of come into terms with like shit, like, because then I think, I don't know, you probably, if you've come to that point or if you've gotten over this hill, like you come to a point where you go like, fuck, like oh, because you end up going like, I could get 100K like going over here, and then I don't need a fucking, I can knock off, and my weekends are my weekends, and my afternoons are my afternoons. Like I don't know, you kind of like juggle with the idea, like, do I actually, but you just have to believe in yourself and trust yourself. It's much better. We have no one telling us what to do. We control all of our bookings. It'll be the same for me and my development. Like, I'm the guy with the property. I am the project manager. I am the person, like, I am calling the shots. Like, it is really nice being able to do that. operate morally and everything, and don't be a dick to people and stuff like that. But like, it's just like, you don't have someone, because, you know, like most people out there have bad bosses, you know, like, and like, ain't no better motivation if you had a bad boss to go and start these sort of things. Think back to those moments. You're like, shit, it actually isn't worth it. Like, you know, and also like, you know, as much as I do, like, it ain't the same. It's like your baby almost now. Like, so it becomes a part of, like, shit, you kind of, there are some people, you watch them and they go down with the ship, you know, because it's their baby. It's their baby. And like, in you know, props to them, because, you know, it is like that, you know, it's hard to let go, and it's hard to accept failure sometimes, you know, like, and I've already had a couple that, you know, that didn't do well and stuff like that, but, you know, like it's, and that's a part of it. But the thing with that is I learnt experience, moved to the next one, and, you know.
You know, I mean, I can completely attest to it. When you first start, I think there's a sense of freedom and freedom over your day that you get. And so you first start a business and you get this kind of freedom of your day, and you feel like you're in control of your calendar and all that. And then you kind of get further down the rabbit hole, and you're like what I said, almost the business owned you to a certain degree, and you just, this fear of failing, or this fear or this insecurity kind of kicks in, and you just like constantly want to drive and improve it and work in it, and am I doing enough, questioning. And then that's where you start to think like, oh man, it would be so much easier just to have a job. Like, I can turn up at 9, leave at 5, and then still get paid for it. And then you just have to kind of like bring it back and just remind yourself, and it's like, yeah, but there's the good times too. You know, there is the freedom that you get there. It's your baby. You can see that growth. These are your ideas coming to fruition. And you get to see them develop, and you wouldn't be able to get to see them develop otherwise.
Well, you made a good point. Like, you know how you got that freedom and stuff like that. And then like, a lot of people don't realize is like, you could taper back, and like, you could actually live a more comfortable life, and actually like make quite decent money. It's actually our own fault, usually, more than often than not, is that we go, shit, like, I can go all in now. Like I can do more, and I want to do more for my customers, and I want to do more for me and my family and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you end up going like I like to call it like it's self-inflicted, mate. Like, you know, like, don't give me sympathy if you hear me bitching and moaning about how tired, or like how many, like the shit that I'm doing now, you know. Like, I was saying to you that like today, I was like, oh man, I'm just like, give me a second. Like, she came home and like shit was going on. I was just like, fuck, I just need to eat, because I just had a bike ride before you were coming over. And I was just like, oh man, I'm starving. I just got to eat. Like, and then I was like, self-inflicted. like literally, I did this to myself. I could have just fucking not done that, and I wouldn't be feeling like a piece of shit.
So
you
true.
know,
So true.
So like, we're like, well, you know, the business all consuming ourselves. No, we're choosing this. You know, like, we're the dumbasses that, like, you know, well, not.
And I mean, it doesn't have to be all consuming. Like, you can.
I enjoy it. I love it. Like,
or you can rest easy knowing that you can turn up to a job, or turn up even to your business at 9, leave at 5. Like, if you want to run your business that way, you can.
But
like I said, there's almost
more than not, most people catch the bug, man.
Exactly. And there's this little like fire that's lit, and like I said, even though part of that fire is insecurity fire, it's like that's part of the push that's kind of driving you forward to do a little bit more and embrace the opportunity. But we'll bring it back. What's it been like learning a new skill?
I love it, eh? Like, I've sort of, that's the thing about me, is I've liked to try different things. You know,
I thought that was pretty like normal through your your progression has been like, I'll learn this, then I'll learn this, then I'll learn this.
Well, you hear the stuff that I'm talking about. Like, I'm trying to learn how to create more content. You know, this is sort of like part of the reason I want to get in the pod. I want to learn another, I guess, branch of business. You know, like, I feel like I need to know what's happening over in this sector and stuff like that. You know, like, I'm pretty confident that my core businesses will be now, like, because of UDIT, will be coffee and then property development. But, you know, like, I and through that, like, just, we got to learn social media. We got to learn how to market and stuff like that. You know, like, we want to grow a brand. I want the people to see the Little Cherry grow into, you know, I like to say, like, an international coffee brand. You know, it's a dream of ours, you know. So, I love learning new things, you know, like, that's...
Do you have any tips for people when it comes to like learning or developing a skill? Is it...
Don't be afraid. Like, it's going to be intimidating at first and stuff like that. Like, it is intimidating and you think like, oh shit, like I'm going to be so bad at it and stuff like that. But like, if you actually think about anyone that's good at anything,
They were
all bad once.
100%.
Some might have picked it up at first when had a knack for it. But trust me, anyone that first started versus anyone that's done it for 2 years will get their asses kicked. Anyone that's done it for 2 years, that's done it for 5 years, will get their asses kicked, and so on and so on. That's how it works, and you can be a bit frightened or intimidated at first, but just go and give it a go. And more than a lot, I think I tell a lot of people, like, what happens up here is a lot worse. You tell yourself things are going to be a lot worse than what actually eventuates. Just like having a bet, like when you have to make a bad call, you're playing it on in your head. You got to nip it in the bud, go and give it a go, and like you actually might enjoy it. And you're like, oh shit, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. More likely than not, then you might actually get, sweet, oh, I know I really don't like this.
Yeah.
And then that's also a benefit too, because now you know. Like, whereas before you could have been like, oh, I should have done that. It's just like going off and starting a side hustle. Like, I would highly recommend you do it, because what's the end result? You end up back where you exactly were. So like you gave it a go, you gave it a crack. Like some people have other circumstances they've got to take into account for that, but like more than likely you'll go back there and then it just didn't affect you at all. But you at least can say, I gave it a go. Like.
Would you say yours is kind of like open to any new skill, and so the enjoyment comes from just learning something new, or have they kind of come along and they've seemed valuable at the time, and so that value has kind of sparked the intrinsic interest out of just learning the skill? Like,
yeah,
would it have been if, let's say, I don't know, you started the coffee cart 4 years ago, let's say 6 years ago, I was like, let's learn how to make coffee. He's like, fuck you, I don't like coffee. Or would it be like, I actually just I'll enjoy learning something, so yeah, sure. Or was it more like, okay, now that we're into the coffee business, now there's a value add for me to learn about coffee, and so now the motivation is there to learn. Second or
I would say like it would be just what it was for me was like the idea of business. Like that's what got me into it, and then like just I've never really been afraid of learning anything new anyway. Like I knew nothing about racing simulators. When I managed at Pt1, I knew nothing about bikes. And I went and became top salesperson there. It's like, well, I didn't actually have any fears for the new thing, and it was just maybe that challenge for business side of things, just being better at a certain, like, probably sales is like, is what I would probably put it down to. Like, I was quite competitive in sales, so like I'll be happy to go and learn that. Went and sold garages and small homes before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had this quote from Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom podcast, and it was actually similar, and so it kind of ties back to the first thing that I mentioned in terms of like having the passion for entrepreneurship versus having the passion for like the industry itself. But it was like, what's the thing that looks like work for everyone else that feels like play for you? And when I think about that, I'm probably less open to things than you are.
Yeah.
But I'm open to things that I'm interested in. And I'm like, I open almost...
Because it feels like play for you.
That's
like,
it. Yeah. It's completely play. Like learning about health and different parts of the body and the mind and everything like that, for me is completely joy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting that experience.
That's definitely your sector. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, you have the same thing, but almost just for entrepreneurship. And so it's like any skill that comes along the ride for whatever entrepreneurial venture that you're in, have the same thing. And it's like, I'm willing to open any door because the value is now I can kind of see the business return from it. And for me, it's like now I can see the industrial or the industry of health. I can see the benefit there because I can apply it. And so it's like, I'll open any door there.
Yeah.
But then I'm quite closed off in other areas. Yeah, yeah. And I was just wondering whether or not we're kind of similar with that, just in different areas. And it sounds like we kind of are. And it's just like your play is business and
entrepreneurship. Yeah, you nailed it right there. It's pretty much like Gary Vee says it all the time, fall in love with the journey, fall in love with the process, and then you'll love anything. Like, and I think even actually Andrew Tate was just like, oh, like I just love making money. Like, I don't care like how it is, or like, like doing business, like transactions, sales, like interactions with others and stuff like that. And that's what I enjoy as well. Like, all right, how can I? Because, like, life's weird. Like, you get pushed into different paths and stuff like that. I guess I'm just sort of making lemons. You know what I mean? Life's giving me lemons. It's like, oh, well, shit, like, that didn't work out. And then this opportunity arose. All right, can I turn that into something towards my entrepreneurial goals? That's, that's sort of like how I've been. And, like, we talk about it, like, any opportunity for me, like, if I see it as a decent-ish opportunity, so I'll just go after it. I'll give it a crack at least, yeah.
I actually think that's a nice little, like almost moment that people can capture. Like whenever they're questioning what they're doing or whether or not they want to go down that road or is this kind of the right area for me, it's like, try it 100%.
Yeah.
But you'll kind of know because you'll get that sense, like you'll want to learn more.
Yeah.
And that want to kind of develop a different skill or grow within a certain area will kind of fit. That's when you kind of know you're in the right little sector.
Yeah.
You're in that sector where actually, the work, it would have felt like work for someone else, maybe yourself in a different life. But for wherever you are, whatever you're doing now, it actually kind of just feels purely play.
Yeah.
Which I think is important to get to.
Yeah. I feel like probably like it's always been service, I guess, like giving entertainment or like sales or giving someone the good best value for their money, like that's, I would say like, I would always be like, interactive type business, or like I would be dealing with customers, what I mean, or like, not just the other stuff, I guess, like an e-commerce store, like where you've got no direct contact with people and stuff like that. Like I've always been, I guess I've been a people person, my whole life, and I've heard it a few times, the gift of the gab, like type shit. So, like, and it would always be along those. And then if it wasn't that there, so who knows if it was something else where like I wouldn't be a desk jockey sort of thing that just never talks to anyone or nothing, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I would say like I'm pretty open and stuff like that, but I would say there would always be along that service line or communication or direct communication with a customer,
Other people.
Yeah, other people, yeah.
Have you ever found since, I guess now, we talked about in your introductory one, the difference between, I guess, when you got into business development and the health side of things versus the health now. Have you noticed any difference in terms of like your ability to think or come up with those ideas, or just general dealings of day to day now that you have the health areas in check, and has that translated through to your business kind of running the coffee cart now?
Yeah, I would say like just more stamina, like more engine to go, like it's I can work harder.
Yeah.
Like I can, and I'm not fatigued as much and stuff like that, or no, my brain isn't just sort of like like mush, like it's, I'm pretty dialed in, so it's pretty much just like helped me in all realms, realistically, relationship, business wise, like everything, like just the health. And I think that's why we're starting this podcast. I feel like it's you start with the body. If you get that body in check, like, and then you work on your mind, and just it literally goes together. And then you form core values and morals and stuff like that. It all flows together. Like that's hence why the podcast. Like it all works symbiotically.
Grows together.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think. Or when I think about the difference between the two, or how the fitness side of things has kind of translated through into the business, it's your ability to notice, I call it the cramp, the ability to notice the cramp when it comes to making choices that you don't want to make. You know, not every day, but there's at least one time in a week that you get caught with this decision of, do I want to go to the gym? Do I want to go for a run? Do I want to eat this healthy food? And you get this fucking cramp, and there's like this, do I really want to make that choice? Same when you're operating a business. It's like, do I really want to get up today? Do I really want to go to that event? Do I really want to do this? And there's that same kind of cramp that you get when you're kind of just dealing with difficult shit. And I think when you're training it and you get to do that in the physical side, it's easier to at least notice that cramp and just apply the same principle of, just put one foot in front of the other. Just do it. Just start. Like, it's easy to apply that same principle over into any other area, but in particular with business. And it's been like just that noticing of the cramp that I've found, an easy crossover from the fitness world or from dealing with fitness into kind of dealing with different business endeavors as well. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting when we eventually, I guess, like what my goal is to eventually sort of like coach people in whatever business I'm doing to basically replace me. And it's going to be interesting when I take myself out of that role where I'm having to be the front man, the driving force, and then I'm going to pass on the baton to someone. And like, it's going to be interesting, like how I push myself after that, because I know, like, you know, you can, like, you know, and that's the thing, is I'm already premeditating, pre-thinking about these things now. Like, all right, don't fall into, like, you remember what you did last time, you did well off the development, don't go and think you can take a year up because you got staff that are adequate and stuff like that. Like, it's like the same sort of mentality, like if you're not growing, you're dying. Like, I need to make sure that I don't fall into that trap, you know.
Do you reckon there'll be
it'll be hard, like, because I, even when we went away for Christmas, I was saying, like, fuck, I knew I had to get up before, like, at like 5:30 for the next week. So I said to myself, all right, in the next 3 days, get up at least 7. I didn't get up once. Yeah.
Like, that's the cramp.
Yeah.
There's that decision we just like, I don't want to.
That was it. And I was like, and that's the saying, if I have like adequate staff take over and look after all my business, that will be, I would say, my next challenge, mental toughness challenge. I would say is, all right, well, you need to get up because you promised yourself you wanted to do this or this or this, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it is, again, it kind of goes back into that cycle of freeing. And now, oh, look, now you've freed up your time. Now you have this whole freedom of time.
Because I only know hustle, like, you know, and then that'll be the next transition. But yeah.
Exactly. It'll be interesting how it swings. It'll likely swing it around about.
Yeah.
What struggles or roadblocks have you guys kind of come up with and faced so far? I know you mentioned, I guess, kind of battling that early kind of phase where obviously trying to build up clientele. Has there been any obstacles since you guys have started the second cart? And
we're still going through the teething stage, you know, like growing right now. Like, makes good money on the weekend, but if I had staff in there, I'm running it at a loss, you know, right now. Yeah. You know, but like it's just trusting the process, you know, and like the way that I think, I don't know if I was talking to you about it or maybe you did, but I was sort of saying, like, it's like, shit, man, like, I'm dead. But now I was actually I've got time now to try and build meaningful relationships with my customers because I've got no one else waiting after them, you know, getting to know about them and their family and stuff like that. It's honestly, like, you know, and it's part of my journaling that I'm doing. It's like, hey, you know, like, you didn't ask more about this person and stuff like that, and, you know, they're being a loyal customer, stuff like that. And also, like, thinking of, like, oh, like, honoring and, like, looking after the current customers that I've already got, like, servicing them, you know, like, I think I told you we did like a promotion, like giving away slices and stuff like that for anyone that brought up the ad that we put out there and stuff like that. But I was still giving them away to my regulars, you know. It's like, why, you know, like, you're essentially getting punished just because you're already my customer.
Already coming.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like that mentality. Like, so stuff like that were, you know, the starting blocks, and I know it'll just pay dividends, and it has this last week. And I think I told you, you know, we had a few days where we're consistent, you know, like, it's not much, you know, but like what the carts have made in 1 week, we made over 12 grand in 1 week, you know, like, it's bloody nuts.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, that's kind of,
how much was it? I think it was, it was over 12 grand in 1 week. Yeah. Like, I think it was, and stuff like that. So, you know, sign up to my course, guys, and make 10K a week.
Yeah.
Like, 10K a week.
That's kind of the shit that I was talking about with kind of like, you know, being in ideas or being future versus being grounded and being kind of refining that process. And it's like, it's almost, we need that time where we're not necessarily growing immediately.
Yeah.
To be able to, yes, we're focusing on growing, but we're focusing on growing by planting the roots. Yeah. You know, we're kind of just dealing with the customers that we've got. We're providing a better service to those customers there. We're providing or refining the ways that we do things and the way that we interact with people and talk with people so that they get a better service. And it's like, if we're always caught in that next, we don't get to do that.
Yeah.
And the blessing of actually kind of waiting for it to grow or allowing that time for that growth to take hold is that you now get that opportunity to invest back into the clients that are already there. And even if it's just investing with your own energy. And that's something I always
think back to these days and be like, oh, do you remember those times we were stressed? Like, and it was like that with her cut.
Yeah.
I was talking actually to a client, and because he's in marketing, we were getting chat as hence Burr. Like, I'm trying, like, I get time, I can chat to some people, and we were talking about it, and it was just like, you know, like there were moments like he was talking about like, now I've just got too much work and I've got I don't have enough staff. And he was like, oh, like, you know, and then I said to him, you remember back in the days that when we had the problems when we were like, fuck, I've got no work.
Yeah.
And then he's just, oh, you're so right. And then I was just like, you know, and then I was telling him about how I was talking to you, and she was complaining the other day. I was like, man, I just got like six booking inquiries. And then I said to her, I was just like, what do you mean? Change that attitude. Like shit, we've got, it's, you know, you've just had a long day. We just had one of our busiest days. It was like 2 and a bit K or something like that, just in one day with the one cart. And like, she was like, oh, I'm exhausted, and I got these. And I was just, what do you mean? Like, do you remember the days where we were like, oh, we'll be happy if we make 550 in a week?
Yeah.
And we just had a day like that, you know? And like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's have a bit of perspective, you know? Like, and like, realize like you can either be upset that you got too much work, or you can be upset that that you haven't got enough. Like, and, you know, you'd rather be in the other way, you know? And like, I was talking to the client, and he's just, oh, you're so right. And then I said, you just got to trust the process. And he's like, oh yeah, trust the process. Yeah, 100%. Like,
and I mean,
like,
you quite often you can't, right? Like when you're constantly there, constantly growing, constantly pushing, like you can't. It's very hard anyway to take that step back and be like, this is where I've kind of come from. But like, you almost need a little bit of that downtime. And now for me, it's like, it's appreciating that downtime, because it used to be the downtime was a little bit of fear. There was a little bit of insecurity that would boil up because of it. And so every time there was like a cancellation or you had a rebooking or something oh no,
I needed that.
Exactly. And it's like, actually, no, now you can kind of think about how the last client went. Now you can think about how you're interacting with the customer that's in front of you. Like, here's this person that I've talked to 10 times that I don't even know what his name is, kind of thing, right? It's like, oh, what's your name? You know, and like now you get to have an impact on someone else's day, and then that in turn, if you're looking at word of mouth, that's inherently going to have an improvement in word of mouth marketing. Yeah, because now you've actually just made a positive impact on someone else. Yep. Rather than brushing them over.
Well, I think of like with the Monday to Friday with the new car, like I just think of, all right, this is a networking opportunity, like to get bookings for the thing, because like you end up getting them, like they all take the card, and, you know, they. You know, it's like, oh, you're a lovely young man is what I get, you know, like from some things, like, you know, like they'll tell others, you know, like. Exactly. And it has been like, I've had like, I haven't even had my regulars, and it's been just as busy as like one of my busy days, you know. Like, it's getting there, you know, like, and, you know, I could only see it getting even busier. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's going to be self-sufficient soon. That's the goal. And hopefully, you know, like I'm not handing over a pressured situation to you there. It can be sort of like, all right, cool, we know that's going to be making
we're on
X
stable
amount.
Ground now. We can kind of move to the next step.
Yeah, and it's getting there.
Yeah. What's a lesson, and it can either be from the coffee cart that you've learned recently or just from business in general, but what's one lesson that you've kind of learned since starting and being involved in business in general in that kind of entrepreneurial realm?
It's definitely probably been more recently is just try to give more than you think you can. You know, like there's holes in every industry. There's you know, like smile more, just better customer service. You know, like we've had a bit of a weird period during COVID and stuff like that where we've pretty much lost that face-to-face connection. It's all through fucking apps like ordering online and stuff like that. You know, like just there's a big hole. I think if you can really provide exceptional customer service, I truly believe you'll smoke any of these guys now, because all they care about is how to minimize their costs and how to pull money out of your pocket, and I think ultimately they'll lose in the long run.
100%.
And like, yeah, you're up against the big guys. It's gonna be really hard to fucking, but bro, like they weren't, they were small companies one day, and then they took over the big companies that were in their industry at one point as well. I truly believe like that's sort of my thinking towards business now, and like I see these companies out there like building houses and stuff like that. They're screwing over customers. I see these coffee people out there. They don't really care about them, even if they know that they're coming to us for we're a quick fix, like on the go type coffee thing. At least we can give them like a smile or something like that. Me and you were talking about it the other day. I was like, God, like after the weekend, people like there was like 3 or 4 people that died and blah, 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 and then I said I messaged her and she's like, like today was it was raining on Monday, and it was just like, oh, like people come to us not just for a coffee and to make it, but they come to us because we can smile. We can actually maybe give them something to be happy about. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like that's the whole service for us, and like this is our conversations that we're having together. And she's like, no, you're like completely right. And that's what I do. If I see someone, I was like, try to crack a little bit of a joke, line their day up a little bit, because you can, and you're not going to win with everyone.
No.
You're not going to win with everyone. There's always going to be one that's just like, give me my fucking coffee.
Yeah.
Like
they need their coffee so they can do that.
Yeah. Shut up so I could be happy for the next person.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is perfectly fine. Read the room.
Yeah.
And just move on. But like just business like that,
Yeah.
I think
we're social creatures.
Yeah.
We're inherently social creatures, and we thrive off each other,
Mm.
whether you like it or not. Like, I think COVID definitely taught, like, when you're isolated, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
And so we're bound socially together. And so, I 100% agree. That's why I wanted to do a face-to-face business rather than an online business. Like, that was literally the crux of it. It was, we can make more impact, and there's more meaningful impact when we're together rather than just apart.
Yep.
And it's, yes, sure, there's a quicker, easier way to make money by utilizing technology and getting the most out of different apps and whatnot, and you can service people faster that way. But that doesn't mean it's had an impact.
Yeah.
They won't remember the plan that you've given or the exact coffee. You might give them a shitty coffee one time, but they'll remember how was your day?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I was actually going to make a caveat. Yeah, sorry. Like, if I made you a bad coffee, I'm sorry, guys.
Fuck
but I'm trying. Like, it's not
Exactly.
that I'm trying to make a bad
human
coffee.
too.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
No, it is. It's like, it's when you take that into account and you're like, that ends up being the forefront of how you interact with people and how you operate in a business. It can only go one way. And we're inherently social creatures. And I think the more that we can kind of connect and intermingle and make each other's lives better, the better for everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
What's next for the little cherry?
The little cherry, I think, will be getting a staff member. I think is probably the next step, so that we can invest a little bit into the realm of looking to roast our own coffee. I think, and we'll probably end up going down that rabbit hole and like forming another obsession of mine or something like that. Those sort of tedious tasks, they tend to, soak me up, and it's kind of like the content creation right now. I'm getting into that sort of stuff and learning a bit more, and like, getting that, I guess, want or drive or the ambition towards to learn a bit more and stuff. And I know I'm looking forward to that part, and because I want to be able to confidently go and be like, fucking buy our coffee, we've got the best coffee, man, or not even if we're like, because I feel like, there's so much good coffee out there. Well, I think about this regularly, and I guess I'll just sort of think out loud out here. It's just like, oh, well, we can give them, coffee that's up to standard, like good coffee, like a few other decent roasters out there. It's like, well, what else can I do above that? It's like, well, I'm thinking I want to build proper relationships with these people. I don't want to have the Raglan roast model where you just order off their fucking website and stuff like that. When like I'm gonna be going around like, when's the last time your coffee person called you? Like when, like I want to get into business with all these people. It's like I want you to film. I want you to film your customers enjoying my coffee. Like build off of that. Build that community of like, because coffee lovers. Like
Oh,
huge
we're
community.
crazy.
Yeah,
We're crazy motherfuckers. I'll tell you that.
Honestly, bro.
We'll do
And look,
anything.
and guess what? Being a person that provides it, I love you guys. Like you guys are they get you guys your coffee and you guys are happy chappies. But like, do you know what I mean? But it's usually like the go getters. Like there's a lot of like people that drink coffee. My kind of people.
Yeah. Where can people find you if they want a good old chinwag and a little bit of caffeine to go alongside that? Where can they find you?
So I'm on Empire Street, parked up there Monday to Friday. We're there from around 7 o'clock to right now around 11:30. Probably looking at growing more to maybe like 1 or something like that. Just with the more customers I get, the more I'll sort of hang around and stuff like that. So, and then for the other coffee cart, we're parked up on Cambridge Road next to the old concrete velodrome. Off a Wairaree Drive so heading in Hillcrest in Hamilton,
So if you guys are in Hamilton and you need a caffeine fix, or you just want a good chinwag with a caffeine fix on the side, stop by and get a coffee from the Little Cherry.
Yeah, or if you just like the story and stuff like that, follow the Little Cherry Coffee Cart on Instagram and like join our journey. Like pretty much we're looking to expand. If you love coffee and you're like far out, like we're going through the process, so you can enjoy it with us. We're going with learning to roast and doing like that's the next step, and just growing a business and stuff like growing a coffee cart business, something you might be interested. Follow the Little Cherry. It'll be
100%.
it's we put a bit of good content on there.
Yeah. Follow the journey and get amongst it. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.